Welcome back to the June edition of Commissioner's Corner. I'm your host, Scott, and you're joined by Tamara, Elizabeth, and Josh, your three county commissioners. We are going to dedicate this entire segment to housing, which has been identified in the past and continues to be clearly the number one issue facing Summit County as a community. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what we've done, what we're planning to do, and maybe how folks can become involved in helping with this issue. So, Elizabeth?
Yeah, thanks. What we want to tell you is that we are doing things. We're working every single day on housing. We're putting calls out to the community of no idea is a bad idea. Come to us with your ideas. I mean, yes, some ideas are bad ideas, but basically we want you to share your thoughts with us about how we can tackle this. Do you own land? Do you own commercial property that you would maybe be willing to convert, et cetera, et cetera? We are just putting calls out there to the community because we are so deficient in units. What's our number right now, is it?
Well, depending on who you ask, it's
Okay.
somewhere between, it was 2,000 units right before COVID.
Okay.
I suspect the truth is it's probably closer to 3,000 now or 3,500 even.
What we're seeing is we've lost a lot of community members after COVID because there were a number of rentals that went away. Those are being used in different ways now. And are no longer available for long-term rentals. Plus the cost of housing has just gone through the roof. Mm-hmm. There's something new that happened during COVID called Zoom Towns, where people could work remotely. We're grateful to have new residents in our community. It really adds to the diversity, and it really helps our economic bottom line. But on the other hand, it's pushing out long-time residents and those maybe hourly workers that we really need to work service jobs in our community as well, among other businesses. It's not just service jobs, it's all across the spectrum. And so we're listening to you, we're working hard, and we're brainstorming every day. So we're looking for unique solutions because it's not going to just be building our way out of this. We're going to have to look at what's out there now. So is there an opportunity to convert commercial to residential? Can we do an audit of planning and zoning codes that maybe that would allow that as well? Who of our employers, businesses can we work with on partnerships? Regional partnerships with other counties, that's going to be a very real possibility. We're grateful we have excellent relationships with Lake, Park, and Grand County commissioners and their staff, and how we can work with them to solve the housing crisis, not only here, but now we're seeing it in these outlying communities that we were so dependent upon for housing a lot of our workforce and coming over. So whether you lived in Leadville or Alma or Kremling, now that's not the case that it was even a year ago. And so we're really being put up against a wall, but we're committed to it. We do have a lack of infrastructure on the Lake Hill property, which is something that would be a real opportunity to develop. Luckily, we have our towns that are interested in pursuing that with us. Perhaps we're trying to really understand what is the amount of money it's going to take to get Lake Hill started, and how can we get that done? It can't be just us on our own anymore. It can't be Summit County government. We're going to be dependent upon partners. So I'll open it up to others, but this is, I would say, our highest priority right now.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, Elizabeth. This is our highest priority. And I would also I think it's really important for folks to understand that there is no one reason that we find ourselves in this crisis, right? Certainly COVID has an impact. Certainly the fact that our surrounding counties are now finding themselves built out due to COVID is a real problem. Certainly short-term rentals are something that we have to include as part of the conversation. But just like there's no one root cause, there is also no one solution. And so at the county, we're working very hard to identify some short-term, some middle-term, and some long-term strategies. Our staff has put together what I think is a really solid first draft of a housing plan that would move us towards working with our partners to identify 1,000 new units within the next 12 to 18 months. I think that's a really solid place to start. But the bigger problem in this space is money. It is simply a problem of not having enough resources. And so as a BOCC, we've decided to allocate about half of our American Rescue Plan dollars towards housing, but that is a drop in the bucket to what we really need. Summit County is very fortunate compared to a lot of our neighbors that we do have a mill levy dedicated to housing. We have some fees dedicated to housing, and so that certainly puts us ahead of many other counties in the high country. But we need the state to be a partner in this discussion in a really substantial way. We need the federal government to be a partner in this discussion in a very substantial way. And we need to find ways for new developers, for private money to also find a home in Summit County. It's not going to be any one solution, like I've said, that solves this problem, but it's not also going to be any one funding source that solves this problem. And so what we are working very hard on now as a BOCC is how do we leverage some of those new partnerships so that we do have enough money to really move the needle on all of these other strategies that we're talking about.
And Tamara, you mentioned of course, funding is a major issue, but also space, land that can, even if we had a blank checkbook, which we don't, there's really not enough land to develop. And so looking at turning some of these other spaces, as you described, Elizabeth, into housing and, all of the different options. It's not going to be one solution. And I just want to mention folks who, to Elizabeth's point, who have reached out with ideas, long-term locals and long-term local business owners who are saying, what can I do to more easily construct an accessory dwelling unit? Or how can our business provide just a couple of spots for our employees? And so it's that kind of mentality, that community-wide effort that is going to help us really make some headway in this space.
And I think why, sorry, Scott, I think why this is so important to us is, as a community, we have said it is important that our workforce lives here. All our towns say that. They all have goals of how much of their workforce they would like to live within their own community and Summit County as a whole. That's important to us, and that is why it maybe would be easier, cheaper to bus workers in from elsewhere, but that's not who we are, Summit County. We really want to be a place that people can live, work, and play, and so we've got to work on that live part right now, and we're dedicated to it, and so is our staff, and thanks to the community for sticking with us through this.
Strong communities have strong families. They have solid workforce that aren't just scraping by, but can thrive and take advantage of why we all want to be here. And that's what we want to maintain here in Summit County.
And we often hear that Summit County has always had a workforce housing issue.
course.
And that's true. But it truly is at a level beyond what we've seen in the past decade, the past decades. And so, again, it takes some additional effort. We are working on a housing summit where we'll try to bring together the county, the towns, the school district, the college, large employers within the community, realtors, property managers, developers, to all get into a room together, get a little bit of baseline information about the issues, and then try to break into smaller groups and try to actually identify where we could create some public-private partnerships. So again, the Housing Summit will hopefully take place the end of this month of June or early part of July. And we'll be able to hopefully come together and come out of that with some action items and some new partnerships with community members. And so be on the lookout for information around that so that you can participate as well in that. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the board. Other comments you guys have on the housing issues?
The only thing I'll add is I think in the housing space, everyone really is an expert. We all share a need to have stable housing for whatever we consider to be our family. And so we certainly have received a lot of input, and we want to receive a lot of input from the community about what the solutions are. As the county works to put together our plan, we'll post that on our website for folks to look at and give input. There are probably close to 20 different strategies that are identified in this draft housing plan. Everything from strategies to convert short-term rentals into long-term rentals, strategies to really relax or change zoning and planning requirements around affordable housing, certainly more strategies to continue to build in Summit County. All of these strategies are important, and I know sometimes it's easy to say, no, we just need to do this one thing. I would really encourage our community to take a look at that plan and to think about all of the different things we need to do to really move the needle in this space. Everyone needs to be a partner and not just sort of latch on to one thing as the total solution. We really do need to work together to find lots of different opportunities to protect the soul of our community, quite frankly.
We've heard a lot from long-term locals that rent long-term properties lately. And I know that that's only about 10%, I think, of our housing around there. But we just want to say thank you to those folks. I think that they're feeling forgotten or left out in this conversation. We've heard from people who've said, look, I've been renting for 20 years, my property, I could easily, make more money doing it different ways, et cetera, et cetera. So thanks to them. It's important that you continue to do what you do, and we're really appreciative of that, because housing the locals here is so important to all of us and all of our businesses. And I know businesses are stressed right now. We're seeing certain ones that maybe can't be open all the hours that they normally were before. And so we certainly empathize with that and understand what they're going through as well. So be patient this summer. If you're at a restaurant or at a business or wherever you might be, just be patient with those businesses that are really trying their best with a limited staff.
Yep.
And if you own a hotel or you own a piece of property that you think might be good affordable housing, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, we got excited over 0.2 acres, right, that we found. We got very excited over, we did an audit of all the land that we own in Summit County and what's buildable, and we found 0.2 acres, and we were through the roof. Yep. So if you too have 0.2 acres, reach out to us. We can make a deal.
Yeah, every little bit helps
Yes.
with this issue. And so we aren't looking only for those areas where we can build 100 or 200 or whatever number of units. We're looking at those spots where we're getting 1 or 2 units, where we can put an ADU attached to a place, or perhaps on a detached basis in a backyard, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So we really are looking at trying to do that. Otherwise, to Josh's point, we don't have the land to solve that issue of 3,500-ish short housing units for the workforce.
Yep.
So, all right, thanks very much. Thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for lots of great local programming. And we'll be back in a month. All right.
Hey.
Nice work.